Heather Goose went from laughing and posing for pictures with colleagues as she bartended at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival to holding two dying men in her arms after a gunman perpetrated the deadliest mass shooting in United States history on Sunday night. "We were having a blast," she tells People. "But then all of a sudden there were people running through the bar and we couldn't understand why. She heard shots, but at the time she thought they were just part of the show. Everyone was dancing and Jason Aldean kept on singing," says Goose, 43, of Las Vegas. "Then there were thousands of people running through trying to break the gate down behind my bar. They were literally climbing on top of each other." Goose's bar was on the way out of the venue. But instead of running for safety, Goose stayed to try to help as many people as possible. "We had so many injured people and they couldn't get out," says Goose, who at the time thought the shooter was still on the premises, and not on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel. "I saw a lot of deceased people. 59 people were killed in the mass shooting, with 527 injured. Pinterest as she tended to those who had been shot, one man came up to her carrying someone who had life-threatening injuries. He told me to come over and asked me to hold this guy's jacket, put my hand on the back of his head and hold as much pressure on it as possible," she says. "I could literally feel the bullet hole in the back of his head. There was blood everywhere. As she held his shoulder and kept him close, she could feel him stop breathing. The pair got him into a car, but he had already died." Goose only heard the man's first name. Soon after, she spotted 3 men were carrying a young man on a ladder, something they used along with barricade gates and banners to help get the injured out. "I reached out and held his hand," Goose recounts, tearfully. "No one knew his name or anything about him, so when his phone rang, Goose and a stranger she was with picked up and learned his name was Jordan McKilloon, and that he was from British Columbia. We asked him to help us find names and phone numbers for his family," she says. "Jordan's phone was locked but Facebook messages kept on coming up, so I went on Facebook to try and find him. While she was sending messages to everyone who had his last name, McKilloon's mom called. The man she was with picked up and she told him that her son was there with his girlfriend, Amber. McKilloon died in Goose's arms as they tried to track down Amber to see if she was okay. She picked up but was in lockdown at the Tropicana Hotel," Goose says. Goose then had to tell her that McKilloon had died. "I said, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but he didn't make it," she recounts. Amber's response was heartbreaking, according to Goose. She said, "No, that can't be true." She added, "He's the love of my life." Goose then made her a promise. She wouldn't leave McKilloon's side until Amber showed up to be with him. She also called McKilloon's mother back, and made the same promise to her. "I wouldn't leave him or go anywhere until I could make sure that they knew where he was and what was going on," she recalls. "I'm not a brave or courageous person, but something inside of me just wouldn't let me leave the venue." Goose, who was with McKilloon for 4 hours, was determined to make sure that he wouldn't be forgotten. "I didn't want him to be a John Doe," she says.